and we believe in a lot of innovation, which is very important for an industry like gas, which was supposed to be just like one of the utilities when it started. And today, the house would be happy to know that we are adding up to 60 CNG stations per year. And already our numbers are hovering around 550. And the plans for the next 5 years are equally encouraging. We are almost putting in 1150 crores of capex in this year. So I'm just trying to connect it
Right.
since the supplies are available, so we're very upbeat about it. And I think IGL is one company which adds 1,000 domestic customers per day. So, which is something not many people have been able to do so far, but that gives them a source of hope that this is something doable. So while I hear many times that Delhi is a big market and there's a lot of potential, so maybe it's easy to add 1,000 customers per day, but then with the bigger market, with Delhi being the capital and NCR being so complex, even to add one connection is not easy.
Right.
So the hope I am giving to the house, since everyone is from the industry, is there is potential available, and if we do the right kind of things with the right speed and thought processes, I think that kind of future which we see for ourselves in the gas industry is very much written on the wall, and we can achieve it. So
Great.
that would be my opening remarks as of now.
Excellent. So I think given 1,000 new customers per day are being added, we move along the value chain to Ashish here, who is representing a very key customer on the automotive side. Ashish, it'll be great to know that, we hear about every day, every auto show, there is all these new EV models that are coming out. It was interesting in the morning panel, there was not, the word EV was not mentioned. And at the same time, there is this push from the government for EVs. So how do you stack that push versus the silence of the gas industry on EVs? What is the reality here?
Uh, First of all, thank you, Goy, and thank you, Camtech for Gastech for inviting us here. I think today India faces two peculiar problems. One is our oil imports are increasing. The other is the environmental problem. Of course, with BS6 coming in, as what Mr. Bhargava said, the environmental problem may be addressed to some extent. However, the problem of oil imports is going to increase every single day. And we Maruti Suzuki and the auto industry are committed to resolve this problem to whatever best we can contribute. And for doing that, we need to work on a bouquet of technologies: electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, CNG, biofuels. But let me address electric vehicles, which is your question. Let me address them first. In the last 15 years, the auto industry has grown at a CAGR of around 10%. Currently, there is a dip, but even if I assume for the next 10 years a CAGR of 8%, what it means is the car industries would be selling around 6.5 crore cars over the next 10 years. Now, there are different EV penetration estimates available. The Bloomberg earlier had predicted 7%, then they revised it to 6%. Other consultants predicted a penetration of 11%. Another renowned consultant predicted a penetration of 13% by 2030. However, even if we take and assume the most optimistic scenario or the government's wish list of 30% EV penetration by 2030, I'm saying the most optimistic scenario, even by that, we'll be selling around 75 lakh electric vehicle over next 10 years. So what does this mean is total market size of 66.5 crores, a total size of electric vehicle of 75 lakhs. So we are left with 5 crore 70 lakh non-EV cars.
Right.
So that's the size of opportunity even after we assume the most optimistic scenario. Now it depends on us how much of this opportunity we want for CNG. 30%, 40%, 50% or 80%. To absorb these numbers of the opportunity, let me also give a reference. In areas where CNG is present, our CNG penetration, for example, WagonR CNG sales, where CNG is present, let's say Pune, Mumbai, Delhi NCR, our CNG penetration is 82%, 76% and 66% respectively. So that is the size of opportunity we're talking about. Just to summarize the question that you've asked, if EV is an opportunity, if EV has been talked about, CNG is much bigger opportunity. And of course, to achieve the national objectives of oil import reduction, we need a combination, a bouquet of all technologies put together, not just one technology, but
Right.
all technologies. That's my answer to it.
Great. Well, I think Ashish, your comments really bring some more clarity on this, CNG versus CV in terms of the growth numbers, and that CNG will still stay an important transport option, in the foreseeable future and beyond. Coming back to Ashwini, I think we've had a sort of more CNG-oriented discussion so far. But if you move again along the transport spectrum, sort of go from the short haul to the long haul, and you look at LNG, for instance, right, which you are bringing into Hazira, how are you seeing that value chain develop, whether it is the virtual pipeline or small-scale LNG solutions? Like, one is CNG into light vehicles, but then what about LNG into heavy vehicles?
Thank Gauri. I was going to, I was feeling very tempted to talk about it. So thanks for bringing it up. And, we ourselves are setting up our first truck loading unit in Hazira, which is going to commission sometime next month. And, we will be able to start supplying LNG by trucks. And, our initial focus is only on commercial and industrial segment, and there is a reason for that. I'll come to that in a minute. But before I talk about India, let me just share some numbers from China. So in China, in 2012, there was zero, literally zero LNG vehicle on the road, right? We are sitting in 2019. They have 3.5 lakhs LNG trucks and buses.
Wow.
Last year alone, okay, so I don't have the numbers for 2019, but 2018 alone added 70,000 vehicles. Assuming, around the same number or maybe a higher set of numbers got added, we are talking of something like, nearly 500,000 buses and trucks on the roads in China which are running on LNG. Not just transporting LNG, but running on LNG. Again, I don't have the exact numbers for 2019 yet, but for 2018, the overall LNG industry size in China was 44 million tons, out of which half of the LNG got transported by trucks. So 22 million, which is the India's total demand as of last year, was getting transported not by pipelines but by trucks. It's a huge market and it has, a significant set of advantages. Of course, pipelines should be laid wherever it is possible, but there are difficult terrains, there are economic issues in certain cases where pipelines do not make sense. And small scale LNG makes a lot of sense in those kind of areas. And there is a lot happening in India also, on the ground. There are new LNG trucks being built. There are, these city gas distribution companies who are integrating the whole LNG by truck concept into their, design and engineering from the beginning itself. There are LCNG stations. Bhubaneswar one is already existing, but, some more are coming. But how do we really, increase this market size? So CNG is, a fantastic example. But, even if we go back 15 years, the CNG revolution started actually with the Supreme Court order. It wasn't, on its own, except for the Gujarat market. And I used to be, working with a British gas subsidiary called Gujarat Gas at that point of time. We really did a lot of hard work to convert the vehicles. And this was not a court-mandated process. And I think something similar needs to be done for LNG right now. As you rightly mentioned, for heavy duty and long distance vehicles, there is no battery solution available as of now. CNG to some extent, with type 4 tanks and all can solve some problem. Maybe you can run up to 700-800 kilometers in one fill. But if you really want a very heavy duty vehicle like a 45-ton trailer, etc., you won't be able to go with CNG for more than 500 kilometers. But LNG one fill can give you 1200 kilometers. Yeah, so it is a solution which is already, we have seen such a big rise in China. In the last 7 years alone, the market has increased immensely. And most of the drivers which were applicable in China are applicable to India also in terms of environmental considerations, in terms of cost effectiveness, and in terms of everything else.
So if I were to ask you, like the way you mentioned about China, 2012 it was zero and today it's 3.5 lakh. If you were to hazard a guess today, it's very pilot level, this thing, but what would it be, say, 5 years from now? Would you hazard a guess?
Yeah, I mean, I will hazard a guess in a minute. One thing, which needs to be really done is to sort out some ambiguity around, who can dispense the LNG. So LCNG is one model which is working well, but that is not enough to generate enough demand from the transporters on one hand and create a traction with the automotive OEM companies like Tata Motors and others to really look at it as you know, a large segment, to start focusing their activities on. And in that sense, we've all seen, in Gujarat, the market share is highest for gas, and that is not because of, it didn't happen, unintentionally.
Right.
The infrastructure was created first, and then the demand came. So my belief is that, even for LNG retail outlets, we need to create the infrastructure first, and the demand is going to follow.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue into what Amit is doing at IGL. So as Ashwini mentioned, there has to be the infrastructure created, but then the demand has to follow. How are you sort of tackling this equation in terms of what are those few things you're doing in terms of market development? Is it a push versus pull with the customer still, or do you see customers just signing up, or do you really have to give a lot more rebates, a lot more uh, free EMI offers? I mean, how does it work in terms of the market development?
Well, I'll first answer what Ashwani gave. So it's becoming, he gives a challenge and then I give a solution.
Yes.
So I'm loving it. So basically, if I can, on behalf of the industry, share with the group here, and many of you might be knowing that also, that to put the LNG infra in place, the ministry has come out with a very ambitious plans, and they are in touch with all of us. And we are coming out with 100 LNG stations over the next 2 years over in the sector of Golden Quadrilateral and some of the major arterial roads. So I think the infra is going to be in place, and the next challenge would be the vehicles coming into the system.
Right.
So that synergy between the automobile industry and the CGD industry has now to happen, so that by the time these stations are there, so these vehicles start rolling out. Because otherwise they are going to have a problem, because we would be stationed there with about 10 crores per station and no customer in sight.
Right.
So I think, well, Maruti is not into that sector particularly, but then as industry and as ministries, we'll have to start working in that direction. And for the LCNG part of it, like the latest new GA which we got in Ajmer, Pali and Rajsamand, so we have a very ambitious target of starting that on a LCNG model. And we hope to commission about 30 stations in that area based on this model. So we are going to lay a virtual pipeline, if you might say, and bring product from Hazira, Dahej, and then take care of that market. So that takes care of the LCNG and the LNG part of it. While now the pull and the push being, I think so far CNG for IGL, the good part has been that it was Supreme Court mandated, as he rightly mentioned. So our initial journey was difficult for many other things, but not to get the customer. So the customer in terms of the public transport was coming automatically.
Right.
And then I think, like any other customer in the world, we normally talk about Indian customers, but I think as a customer, we are all misers and we want to get the best value out of our
Right.
money. I think CNG gave that value to the customers. So it was a more of a economical product which was coming to a customer, and I think despite then the waiting time of 5, 10, 15 minutes, we can have a large debate on that waiting time also, because I heard somebody saying 30 minutes, which is not the case for IGL at least.
Okay.
And so I think it was the economy part of it which attracted the customers. And then subsequently the word of mouth and the kind of peer pressure, because this was also perceived as a environmental friendly fuel.
Right.
So many people in the hierarchy status who do not want to actually worry about the per kilometer part of it, so they were at least seen contributing to the environment if they go for a CNG vehicle.
Right.
And I think the government also sent the right kind of messages initially, when the odd even scheme came into being.
Yeah.
So CNG was exempted and it was allowed. But unfortunately, it did not happen the second time.
Right.
And not because there was a problem with the fuel, but because there was a problem of identification of such large number of vehicles.
Right.
Because we were looking at 6 to 7 lakh vehicles, and the government body said that there's no way, I mean, somebody moving on the road, so
Right.
we are able to spot CNG and a petrol vehicle differently. So I think that's the kind of pressure for CNG that people have in their minds, is the positioning which CNG has taken. Although there could be a lot of debate on the quality part of it per se in terms of the actual benefit. But then I think people who have traveled in Delhi 20 years ago, before CNG came, and if you were to wipe your face, the hanky would get
Right,
black.
right.
Because many of these are young kids, so they will not know.
Yeah.
But at least I have seen that face.
Yeah.
And today, after millions of vehicles getting added, I think the hanky is not still getting black.
Absolutely. I think the CNG case really brings the environmental benefits. I'll just move to Ashish, you in terms of the OEM perspective, from like what are really your plans for CNG? You gave the overall sector numbers, but if we say drill down into what are Maruti's plans, and when you look at the OEM landscape, it seems like it's Mahindra for EVs. You are more CNG. I mean, can you throw some light on that?
Okay. For me, I think CNG offers significant opportunity for all stakeholders, be it Mahindra, be it Maruti, or be it the gas industries, the component industry, you name anybody. I mean, it offers significant opportunity. For example, if you recall, let's say 3 years back, the diesel penetration in the car industry was around 40%. After BS6, because the cost is going to increase significantly, this penetration is going to fall steeply. It is today come down to as low as 20%, and we expect it to go down further. And this is the industry numbers. And that has happened across globe also. So if, be it Mahindra, be it Tata, be it Maruti, if we have to grow our volumes, if we have to sustain the industry, we need to have an alternative to diesel, which fortunately today is only and only CNG. Yeah? You may be looking at opportunity for, let's say, the gas industry. As per, recently I was in a panel in ET Auto, and they have done excellent research where they have said that going by the way we are going, in 2030, 50% of our cars there will be a penetration of 50% in cars in 2030. Now, what does that mean is, today we are 33 lakh CNG vehicles on roads. If you look at that number and convert into population, that would mean 2.5 crore CNG vehicles on road, a growth of 650% for the gas industry. Similarly, you convert those numbers for a component, guys. If you're talking about, let's say, an annual sales of something like 40-50 lakh vehicles and 40-50 lakh kits equally, and a kit is costing something like 50,000 rupees, that would mean a business of 25,000 crores in 2030, which is today not even 160 crores. The auto component size for the making CNG kits and parts. And the best of the best is, if you look at India, a major problem is oil imports. Today we import something like 132 billion liters only for transportation, I'm saying. Only for transportation. This number is growing at a CAGR of 4%, which means we are going to import 260 billion liters of petrol and diesel only for transportation if we do not have a CNG. Now, if we have a CNG and the numbers what government is talking about, then we can substitute 20% of our oil imports. That's the potential. And because CNG is good for consumers, it's good for country, it's good for society, we as an company, we as an industry are excited about this opportunity. So you asked me a question that what are we doing in this area? I think what we have recently committed is that in future, near future, all our models, almost all our models will have a CNG option. Not only we are bringing the CNG options, but we are also bringing in CNG technology, the newest technology that we are talking about. For example, the old WagonR CNG, which already had good acceptance, used to give a fuel efficiencies of 27 kilometer per kg. Now we all know in an Indian context, the syndrome of kitna deti hai, how much important this fuel efficiency factor is. In the new WagonR CNG, the fuel efficiency has increased from 27 kilometer per kg to 32.5 kilometer per kg. And third, when, for example, most of people sitting here would know me, I am always extending this invitation that you are a gas industry, you are putting up a CNG stations anywhere, most welcome. We as a company would be very much willing to work with you in terms of awareness, joint promotion campaigns. Even if you want us to go along with you to the state governments, we're more than willing to go. So that is what I think in terms of products, in terms of reach, we as a company are doing in this area.
I think, what you said is music to many gas industry players, and I think